Hi, my name's Paul Grogan and welcome to the latest in the Gaming Rules video log series. This is the video log which is going to cover everything that I've done since the last video log, which was recorded on May the 4th, and it's currently Sunday, April 19th. So apologies for this one being a couple of weeks delayed. I had planned to do this at the start of April, but it's going to cover everything over the last 6 weeks. Now, this is going to be a bumper video log for a few reasons. First of all, it's a 6-week one. And I normally try and do these every 4 weeks. And also, as you will see later on, I've been playing a lot more games than normal, despite the current lockdown. It's really weird because obviously this video log is covering a 6-week period. 6 weeks ago, we weren't in the current situation that we are in. So yeah, obviously over the period of time covered by this video log, the world has changed and everything is slightly different now. But anyway, I've covered a lot of games, but I've also got some important changes coming to the channel and I think some important news later on. So bear with me through this. The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to talk about all of the games that I've been playing because a lot of people just like to listen to that bit. So I'm doing that bit first. Right, here we go. In sort of chronological order, I think. 4th of March. I went to the Clumpton Games Group, which is no longer happening, and I got out Ashes Rise of the Phoenix Spawn. Now, I have said before that I really like Ashes. It is my favourite dueling wizards card game. There's a couple that I really like, but Ashes, for me, is my favourite one. And it's a game that I really want to play more of. But you know how it is, too many games, not enough time. And it's been talked about as I've been kind of threatening it, that I've been wanting to bring this game down to the Games Club on a Wednesday and teach it to a few extra people. Now, a couple of people there already know how to play, but hadn't played for ages. So I took it down to the club and we played 2 games of it. And it's great. And I'm still using the pre-constructed decks. I could play Ashes probably forever just using the pre-constructed decks and still enjoy it. I'm not really into the deck construction side of things. Now, I have the original copy of the game, plus the first set of expansions. I know the publication of Ashes was a bit weird because when Plaid Hat Games were going through all of the merger with F2Z and all sorts of other stuff going on, Ashes basically got sort of put on hold. So there were a few initial expansions and it kind of stopped. And then all of a sudden they sorted it all out and there was a flurry of new stuff. And then it pretty much, I think, got cancelled and everything else, which is a real shame. But only last week or the week before, there's been some announcement that Colby from Plaid Hat Games has broken away from Asmodee. A lot of the titles have stayed with Asmodee or F2Z or whoever, but Ashes was one of the ones that was mentioned about it might be getting a launch. Now, I'm in sort of 2 minds about that because I love what I've got. I've already got enough content for Ashes because I don't play it as a lifestyle game. I don't play it at tournaments or competitively. I'm not into deck building. I have got enough decks to play that game, you know, as many times as I want to. More content means that I need to get more stuff because I'm a completionist. So anyway, Ashes Rise of the Phoenix Spawn, fantastic game. I do want to give it some coverage on the channel. It is on the list of things that I do want to cover on the channel at some point. What else happened that evening? That was it. That's all I played that evening. Then on Thursday the 5th, my eyesight's getting worse by the way. On Thursday the 5th, so the day afterwards, I did a playtest of Space Race, the board game. And I did actually play it, which is why I've recorded it on BGG, and I'm going to be talking about it now. So Space Race, the board game, is one of the games that I'm professionally involved in. I'm helping write and edit the rulebook for the game, and as such, what I did is the rulebook editing has been done. It was 95% there. But then what I did is I organised some friends around, and we did a blind test of the rulebook. So I invited a couple of friends around, I'd sent them the rulebook in advance, and basically we got the game out. I gave them the rulebook. They taught me how to play the game from the rulebook without me interjecting. And I'm happy to say that it went mostly okay. There was a couple of bits of the rulebook that they said, oh, this should have been the other way round, or we should have done this first. Minor tweaks to the rulebook, but blind testing a rulebook is an important part of the process. I've banged on about this so much, and the publishers who don't do it should start doing it. Give the game, give the rulebook to people. Let them learn how to play the game from the rulebook. You can do it now privately over a video stream. Don't just send them the game and then get them to write feedback to you, because that doesn't work. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about this too much. I've got a whole host of stuff to say about blind testing rulebooks, but it should be done. And that's what I did that day. We actually did record it and we sent it to the publisher afterwards so that they could actually watch what was happening so that they could see part of the process. Anyway, Then what happened is on the same day, Thursday the 5th, this is literally just after I'd recorded the last video log, I think, is I did 18 holes. So now this has already been on Kickstarter now, but I did a tutorial and playthrough video on the Thursday evening of a game called 18 Holes. It's a golf game, surprisingly enough. It's by a guy called Ryan Seabrook. It was on Kickstarter. It was successfully funded, and that's going to be coming out at some point. We played a variant of it called Chaos Golf, which as a Eurogamer, you'd got to think, hang on a minute, why is Paul playing a game called Chaos Golf? But I believe that was, for us, the best version of the game that we played. Basically, you've got these 18 holes on the golf course, and anybody can go for whatever hole they want at a time. And once two people have gone for a hole, the first person to get into a particular hole gets 5 points, second person gets 2 points. Rather than the normal golf game where you're all going for hole 1 and somebody gets it first and then you're all going for hole 2. Chaos Golf was a lot better, I think, for the live stream, and that went well. If you're interested in 18 holes, check out my video, it is on the channel. Then on Friday evening, I did a multiplayer tutorial and playthrough of Trickerion Legends of Illusion. So this is pre-lockdown. 3 friends came round. Trickerion is one of the games that my Patreon supporters voted on that I would review last month. More on that later. And of course, I have played it before, but I need to play it again. So I invite some friends round, teach them how to play, and then play the game. That video is on the channel now if you want to see me teaching some friends how to play Trickerion, and then a 4-player playthrough. I'll go into more details in my review, but Trickerion is a game that I really enjoy. It is quite complex, it is quite heavy, and I got a bit flustered during the game because there was a lot going on, and I basically made some very critical mistakes. I've played it since and didn't make those critical mistakes. But yeah, very good game. More on that when I get around to doing my review, but if you want to see the multiplayer playthrough, that's on the channel. That was Friday. Then my Expedition to Newdale addiction took over. I was playing a lot of Expedition to Newdale because I did a review of it, I like the game, and it has a solo mode with a series of 8 chapters. And I thought, well, I'm going to play all of these. Unlike a lot of other games where I kind of play it a bit and then I kind of fizzle out and leave it and never go back to it, I was determined that I was going to play through all 8 chapters of the game. Now, strictly speaking, by the rules of the game, if you play a chapter and don't succeed, you're supposed to replay it. And I got stuck on one of the chapters. And I think on my 3rd attempt, I got 1 point short, and I just went, I'm going to move on. And it actually got me thinking about it. And I'm going to speak to the designer, Alexander Pfister, about this. Which I've recently found out is you pronounce the P. So apologies, Alexander, if I've been mispronouncing your name. Probably gets it a lot, but apparently it's Pfister. I'll need to double check this with him, but I did read an article on BGG where he replied and said that you do pronounce the P. Anyway, I'll check with him. What was I saying? Yeah, I'm going to speak to him because I think a better, and I know I'm going to get some criticism for saying that, mode is that you play all 8 chapters, and if you fail one, basically what I'm saying is you play the chapter and you score points at the end of it, and you move on regardless. And then you play all 8 of them, and then you add up your score at the end. Not your cumulative score of all the games, but there will be a point system at the end of each scenario to say, you know, how many points you get and whether you won or lost or something like that. And then you just play all 8 and you get to the end of the campaign and then you've got a final rating. Or maybe you could just even say 1 point for a win and no points for a loss. And then you get to the end, and if you've scored 8 out of 8, brilliant, something like that. I didn't like the way that you had to replay it. Although, to be fair, replaying the same scenario again actually did help, because I played the scenario and I failed it. And then I went, right, why did I fail it? Oh, I didn't do this, this and this. Let's play it again. I got better. So my method of playing all 8 might not actually work, because then if you do fail chapter 3, for example, the next time you play through the whole campaign, you might have forgotten the things that you learned on chapter 3. Anyway, Expedition to Newdale, I'm rabbiting. You're going to be here a while today. I played it on the 7th, the 8th and the 14th. I basically had it set up downstairs while we were watching TV, and I just played through it. I'm sure I recorded more plays than that. But yeah, I've played through probably, I think, 11 games solo of Expedition to Newdale now. Because as I say, I played at least 8 and some of them I had to replay. So Yeah, I've done a load of videos on it on the channel. I've done a couple of solo playthroughs, I think last month, so I don't think I've made any new content since the last video log. But there's more information about Expedition to New Dale and a review on the channel if you want to hear it. Next up, 11th of March, we did our Arkham Horror living card game. So again, pre-lockdown. Andy, Alan, Emily came round on March the 11th and we did Arkham Horror Path to Carcosa Chapter 7. Again, videos on the channel if you want to see it. Don't go and watch it if you haven't played through Carcosa because there will be spoilers. But I love the Arkham Horror card game. The Path to Carcosa campaign has been very good and it's nearing its completion with Chapter 7. And then, because I was about to go off to the Czech Republic, we sneaked in Chapter 8, which was the 16th. So yeah, March 11th was Chapter 7. March 16th was Chapter 8. We have now finished the Path to Carcosa campaign. I wanted to get it done before I was heading off to the Czech Republic. And the reason for that is I was going to the Czech Republic for a week, didn't happen. Then I was going to get back, then I was going to go to Portugal for a week, didn't happen. And basically, if we hadn't have wrapped it up before I went away, I was going to be out of the country for like 2.5 weeks. They'd have come back and I'd have forgotten where we was up to. So what I did is I tried to squeeze in the last 2 sessions before I went off to the Czech Republic in order to wrap the campaign up, which we did. So yeah, Arkham Horror card game, Path to Carcosa, all 8 chapters are on the channel now. If you are interested in watching them, they are all there, or you can just dip in and watch how it ended. Really cool, really enjoyed it. Can't wait to do the next one, which was planned and hasn't happened for obvious reasons. Now, in between the Arkham Horror games, on Friday the 13th, I did 3 videos, and these are all on the channel. So I played through solo game of Underwater Cities, which my Patreon supporters voted on as the solo game that I would play last month. So I did that. I really enjoyed that. I didn't play particularly well. It's one similar to Expedition to New Dale. If I had the time, I'd have gone back and played it again because I enjoyed it so much. And I learned from playing it that I thought, yeah, I need to do this better next time. But yeah, solo Underwater Cities was good. Some people have felt that it wasn't a good solo experience and it was just kind of tacked on because all you do is you just play the game normally and try and get points. I have no problem with that at all. Obviously, I like playing multiplayer games better than I like playing solo games, but because I enjoy Underwater Cities as a game, playing it solo gave me my Underwater Cities fix. I was fine with that, and I would definitely happily play it solo again. Right, also on that Friday, pre-lockdown still, people came over and I did 2 live streams of games. First of all, I did a game from UK designers, Geode. Now, I think that has gone on Kickstarter. Apologies, I've lost track of where we're up to now. But yeah, Geode, a little tile laying game. I did that on Friday. That video's on the channel now. Quite a cool little tile laying game that looks really pretty. And then that evening, I did a big one. I did Paris. Now, Paris is from Michael Kiesling and Wolfgang Kramer. Kramer and Kiesling have been designing games together as a pair since before I seriously got into gaming. When I seriously got into board gaming, so I'm not talking, when I dabbled with Catan or Formula D in the mid-90s. When I seriously got into it in like 98, Kramer and Kiesling were doing games together and I played a load of their games and they're still going now. And Game Brewer contacted me about giving Paris some coverage and it looked amazing. Visually, it looked amazing. I saw that, I saw Kramer and Kiesling and I went, yes, please. Please can I be involved in this? So I did a playthrough of that game and yeah, because it was a sponsored video, I can't really say how much I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It was really good game. Definitely want to play it again. That Kickstarter I think has now finished. I think it did really well. But yeah, Paris from Kramer and Kiesling, very good game. Keep an eye on that when that comes out. I've got the prototype of it and I definitely happily play it again because it was really good. Next up, I think we're now post-lockdown. I'm not sure because I have Wednesday the 18th, 2-player game of Crystal Palace against Paul. Maybe this was post-lockdown. So Crystal Palace is one of the games that my Patreon supporters voted on for me to review. I've played it a few times, but Crystal Palace is 2 to 5 players. And I hadn't played it 2-player, and I felt that I needed to play it 2-player in order to be able to do the review. Because if I did the review and people said, oh, the two-player game's rubbish, and I didn't mention the two-player game, it's why I like to cover all player counts within a review. Because yeah, certain player counts just don't work, and that's my job as a reviewer to explain that. So I did a two-player game of Crystal Palace. I played against Paul. I was using a Skype camera to feed to him. It was a bit fiddly. Paul found it quite difficult. It wasn't the best game to do for a first remote live stream. Since then, I've done a lot and things have changed, and I've got other ways of doing it. And then I did a review of Crystal Palace. So if you want to see what I think about Crystal Palace, go and check out my review. Did the two-player game, did it work as a two-player game? Yes. Did it feel differently from a 4- and 5-player game? Yes. But it was still fine. The game still worked. The decisions were very interesting and potentially even tighter. A little bit like two-player Kalis that a lot of people think doesn't work as a game. I think it's brilliant. It's very much like chess. It's like, oh, well, if I do this, he's going to do that. And if he does that, I'm going to do that. You're directly competing with one other person. You don't have other factors to take into account. So two-player Crystal Palace, I think, worked very well. And that video's on the channel now. And Paul still beat me despite the hindrance of not really seeing clearly what was going on. And then in the evening, I did, and again, this was another remote playthrough, so the lockdown definitely must be in place at this point. Kalis 1303. I'm a massive fan of the original Kalis. I'm more of a fan of the new Kalis. I do prefer it to the old one, just because it's lighter, shorter, and more accessible. Okay, I can see that the old game is probably better, maybe, and then the new one is a little bit too streamlined. Not 100% sure. There's certainly some things from the old one that I would have liked to have seen in the new one, like the turn order system, rather than it just being clockwise. But there's a lot about the new one that I like. Anyway, I did a remote playthrough of Kalis 1303 with 3 other people, some of them not even in this country, and it worked really well. So yeah, very happy to play that again, and that worked well. Then on the 19th, so that was Wednesday night, on the 19th, Thursday the afternoon, continuing the series of remote playthroughs, I did Watergate with Mark Cook from Aircon. Watergate is a fantastic 2-player game, designed by Matthias Kramer, published by Capstone Games and Frosted Games, and it's a 2-player card game. And I got it to work. Basically, Mark had his own copy of the cards. He told me what he was playing, and I simulated it at my end with the top-down camera broadcasting out. Worked really well. Great game. I think Mark beat me. Yeah, I think Mark beat me. But yeah, very good. Really enjoy Watergate. I found out recently there's a solo mode that I want to try. Next up, said there was going to be a lot. 20th. So we are now on Friday the 20th of March. I did 2 videos. The first thing I did was, I did Trickerion. Yeah, so Trickerion has a solo mode. Again, I'm reviewing Trickerion, therefore I have to play the solo mode. So Mind Clash Games sent me all of the extra bits for Trickerion so that I could play the solo mode, and I did. That video's on the channel now. I'm saying that a lot, I know, but most of what I'm doing is actually on the channel at the moment. And I did the solo game of Trickerion. Oh boy, I was hot and flustered after that because Trickerion's a heavy game. I do struggle sometimes with solo games in trying to, keep track of what's going on, as well as obviously hosting the stream and talk to people in the chat. It was quite hard work, but I did enjoy it. And I do want to play the solo version of Trickerion again. Because again, I didn't win, and it kind of spurred me on to thinking, I'll do better next time. I've learned from it, although I've probably forgotten by now. So that's a solo game of Trickerion on the channel. And then in the evening, we did Dominant Species. Again, remotely, but we did a 4-player game of Dominant Species with me hosting the game, moving all the components around, and 3 other people, again, remote players, looking at the board and basically chiming in and telling me what to do. I've done a load of these videos now, still continuing to do playthrough videos on the channel remotely using the setup that I've got. So that was Dominant Species, in honour of Chad Jensen, who we sadly lost last year for cancer. Probably his best design, although I haven't played Combat Commander, which is also supposed to be very good. But Dominant Species, brilliant game. And that was a really good game of it. I can't remember who won in the end. Don't think it was me. It's probably Graham. Next up, 2 games of Tainted Grail. Finally managed to convince Vicky to play some Tainted Grail. Grail. So we played on the 21st and we played on the 24th. It's been a while since we last played Tainted Grail because we had a bit of a mixed experience with Chapter 2. We have since decided to change the rules of the game. We're now playing in story mode. For various reasons. There's a lot of criticism of Tainted Grail. I really like the game. I think the setting is fantastic. I like the writing. I like the story. I like the way the story is evolving. I like the combat system. I like the character level up system. There's so much about it that I like. Unfortunately, we got bogged down in Chapter 2 with a bit of grinding where we ended up, oh, we've got to go there, but to go there, we need to relight the men here, but to relight the men here, we need that. Where are we going to go to get that? Well, we'll go here. Right, we get that. We got that. Oh, now we're out of food. We need to go and get some food. Go there. Relight the men here. What do we now need? We now need that. Go here. Do that. Do that. And we played for about 4 hours and we didn't really accomplish that much because we were just going round in circles, maybe 3 hours. So we packed it away and we thought we'd come back to it. Now, since then, we've decided to implement story mode. And basically story mode is a whole load of changes. When you relight a Menhir, it relights with 1 extra day. The cost requirement to relight Menhirs is treated as 1 fewer player. So now all of a sudden, and we played again and it was much better. Basically, we can now enjoy the game, we can enjoy the story. You've still got to do the gathering of food and you've got to do that and you've got to do that. But you're not spending twice as long doing the thing that you need to do in order to progress the story along. So we finished Chapter 2, we got to a particular ending of Chapter 2 because it is a branching storyline, and then we played the start of Chapter 3. I'm still looking into whether we want to make even more tweaks because there is still a little bit of grinding involved and we might tweak it a bit more, specifically the food requirements. But story, narrative and everything else about the game I really enjoy. It's just I want to cut down the repetitive nature of some of the grinding in it. Next up, Cloudspire on the 25th. Now, which game was this? I can't remember. Oh, you know, I can remember. This is with Mark Dainty from Neverboard Gaming. I got to know Mark last year through Cloudspire, and I played a 2-player game of it in the afternoon remotely. So I was broadcasting out my setup. He was seeing my setup. He was recreating it at his end. I had an epic game with Mark. It went right down to the wire. I did win in the end, but it was very close in the end. And it was a really, really good game. So if you want to see me play a 2-player game of Cloudspire with Mark from Neverboard Gaming, that is on the channel. That was the 25th of March. And then in the evening, I did my Frosthaven video. So for those people who've been hiding under a rock, Frosthaven is the sequel to Gloomhaven. It's currently on Kickstarter, and as of yesterday, it has raised 6.5 million, which is surprising based on the current situation in the world. It's clear that it hasn't held it back that much. Frosthaven is a game which I'm going to be involved in professionally. I am a massive fan of Gloomhaven. I'm still playing Gloomhaven now, although, you know, slowed down because of the lockdown. I was one of the first people in the world to start playing Gloomhaven, and we're still playing it now. Massive fan of the game, like it a lot, and Frosthaven just looks better. And the reason why I'm saying better is the changes that Isaac has made to Frosthaven, where you go out and you gather, you know, items which you can then use to craft buildings and build. I like crafting in games, okay? So that's more suited to me. I also think he's fixed the scalability issues with the game, because in between 2 and 4 characters, with 2 you're finding less gold, which means you're not, the prosperity advancement in Gloomhaven is a lot slower with 2 players. That's been fixed in Frosthaven. And there's a few other things as well. Anyway, I got sent a prototype of Frosthaven, and I played through one of the 3 demo scenarios that we got. The scenarios have been covered by other people. I know John Gets Games has done one, Rado's done one. We did one as well, and it was with Sunniva and Johannes from Board Gaming Ramblings. We did a live playthrough of it, and this is just a few hours after I'd done the epic 4-hour game of Cloudspire. I was absolutely exhausted, and after that game of Frostspire, that'd be a cool game. After that game of Frosthaven in the evening, that went on a long time. That scenario was tough, it was long, it was a late night, and it came down to the absolute wire at the end, and it was a brilliant game. And if If that scenario is just an example of the scenarios that are included in Frosthaven, which I've been told are a lot more interesting than some of the Gloomhaven ones, not that I had that much of a problem with the Gloomhaven ones, but the Frosthaven ones are a lot more interesting, and that one was. So if you're not sure about Frosthaven, go and check out that video that I played, because that game of Frosthaven was just exceptional. It was a really, really good game. And again, did it remotely, with Johannes and Sunniva basically telling me what cards they'd chosen and me doing all of the admin. Worked really well. That was Frosthaven. Next up, Nemo's War. Now, this is all down to Ricky Royal, Box of Delights. Thank you very much, Ricky. But Nemo's War has been on my list of games that I've been interested in for about 18 months. And I almost bought it secondhand because so many people have been saying it's a really, really good game. It's solo only. And until middle of last year, I wasn't really a solo gamer, but I was very keen on it. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Captain Nemo, love that whole theme and setting and everything. And I've heard it's a very thematic game. So I was really keen on getting this, but never happened, too many games, not enough time, etc, etc. And eventually, Ricky contacted Victory Point Games, who he has a professional relationship with, and said, look, I don't know if you've heard of Paul Grogan, but if you send him a copy of the game, he'll give it some coverage on his channel because he's very keen on the game. Victory Point Games got in contact with me, sent me a copy of the game, took 3 attempts for them to get a copy to me. It was all very confusing, and eventually it arrived, and I opened it up. Ian O'Toole, graphic design and artwork, looks fantastic. And on that day, which one was it? The 27th, Friday the 27th, I did one of my very unusual, but seemingly strangely unpopular, Paul learns how to play the game from the rulebook and then plays it. So literally, I set the studio up, I advertised that I was doing it, and then live on camera, I unboxed the game, got it out, opened the rulebook, and started learning it. A lot of people seem to like these. They are long videos because you're literally watching me learn the game from the rulebook, and thankfully there was a lot of people in the chat who really helped me out. The rulebook was good, but there were a few bits where I got a bit confused. I said the rulebook's good. At the start, it wasn't clear because it was telling me about components without pictures and I didn't know what to do with them, and it really wasn't clear. But the gameplay was clear, and with the help of the people in the chat, we played a full game of it. It was 4 hours long. What a week that was. I was absolutely exhausted by the end of that week. And I played through it and I lost just at the end, although I did make a rules mistake at the end that nobody picked up on. But it was very late. And then I basically redid that bit the next morning. I still lost, but yeah. Nemo's War. I'm going to be doing a review of this. It was supposed to be this month, more news on that later. And I'm actually going to be doing a solo playthrough of it. I've also done another content for it. I'll talk about that now. I did a time-lapse video because I wanted to play it again. But I'm also aware of how much time I'm spending away from the family at the moment. Vicky and the cats and everything else. So I thought, right, we'll kill two birds with the same stone. I'll move the studio downstairs, well, not the studio, but a tripod and a camera. I'll move it downstairs, I'll move the lighting downstairs, I'll set a table up, and I'll have Nemo's War set up. And while I'm spending, you know, some time downstairs and we'll have something on TV, I can be playing through a solo game of it. Obviously, I can't stream that because you'll hear the film noise in the background and everything else, and when I pause to go off and get ice cream. But if I do a time-lapse video, yeah, that'll work. So that's what I did. I set the camera up, I set it on record, I played through the full game, and then the next day I quickly edited a time-lapse video together and put it on the channel. It didn't work too well. I'll say it didn't work too well. A few people watched it and said, oh, that was really good. It was really good to see the whole game played in 20 minutes. And obviously things were moving around, it was at 8 times speed and everything was moving around quick. And some people said, yeah, that was a really interesting watch. However, that video has had more thumbs down than thumbs up. Now, I've never had that before. You normally get a couple of thumbs down. But to have more thumbs down than thumbs up, it's not really bothered me that much because it was an experiment. I didn't have to do that video. I did it for free. Nobody paid me to do the video. I took 2 hours out of my time to not playing the game, but editing the footage together, setting up everything. But the positive, the constructive criticism is that it could have done with some kind of audio overlay. And I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Again, I did it for fun. I did it as an experiment. If I was going to do it again, I would definitely do some kind of audio overlay, which I did on my next time-lapse videos. More on that later on. Right. Next. Oh yeah, so right, this is that week where I'm now absolutely exhausted because I've done Cloudspire, Frosthaven, Nemo's War. At this point, I was supposed to be in Portugal. This is the weekend where I was supposed to be at LyriaCon. Me and Vicky were going to Portugal for a little bit of a holiday, like 2 or 3 days, and then combining it with a trip to LyriaCon. And of course, LyriaCon was cancelled. So I decided to host virtual LyriaCon. Now, virtual LyriaCon started out as a good idea, and I'm still happy I did it, but the amount of time and effort and organisation and planning that went into it, and then spending 10 to 12 hours a day actually live streaming, I was exhausted by the end of it. So thank you to everybody who joined in with virtual LyriaCon, either playing the games with me or watching. Yeah, maybe if I'd have done less work the week previous, it would have been better. So virtual LyriaCon was basically me remotely playing a whole bunch of games with people. It started out as it was going to be me and the Patreon supporters that I've got that were going to be playing games with me at LyriaCon itself, a way that they can still play games with me that weekend, but remotely. That's how it started off. Then I decided to open it up to all of my Patreon supporters, which I think was the right idea to do. And then I got a couple of other special guests in for other things as well. So here's the games we played at virtual LyriaCon. We started off with Nippon in the morning, which is a game from Watch Your Game. And since some of the people from Watch Your Game are the organisers of LyriaCon, it felt right to do that. So we played Nippon in the morning. I really like Nippon. And I'm saying that even though I was professionally involved in the game. It was my joint favourite game of 2015. Fantastic game, love it. And absolutely slaughtered my opponents. Then we did On the Underground from Ludic Creations. That worked well, playing remotely, because it's a relatively simple game and people can just say, I'm building a track from, Mornington Crescent to Moorgate or whatever. So that worked well. We then did a game of Codenames, which went okay. Could have done with a bit more prep time on my side, I think, but it went well. We had Chris and Jess, who were the Spy Masters, and they were in the same room. So that helped, because they had the key card. And yeah, that worked really well. There's a number of ways you can play Codenames online. That was the way we chose. There are other ways of doing it, which I'm looking at hosting some other games. Then, just after that, we played Just One, which went really well. Again, I was running 5-10 minutes late for each one of the streams. So it was a bit of a rush job and we had some technical difficulties. If I was going to do it again, and I'd like to do it again, I'd have proper windows all over the screen in good places. But we played a game of Just One. Abby joined us from Asmodee. Russ joined us from Chits for Giggles. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I do enjoy Just One. It's one of my favourite party games. I would probably say it's probably the best party game. That and Monica's. Just One probably as a game. Monica's for probably, or Time's Up, just for fun. Then we did Age of Steam in the evening. Age of Steam's a really good game. Really enjoy Age of Steam. Not my perfect game. Still not sure about the forcing players to take the loans at the start and not just when they want. Might be a little bit too punishing. Excuse me. But I've got the deluxe edition of Age of Steam with various maps. Got something in my throat. And yeah, we did, what did we do? Did we do 5-player or 4-player? I can't remember now, but we played Rust Belt, which is the default map. But yeah, we did Age of Steam Saturday evening. Then had a few hours sleep. I was exhausted, so I didn't sleep well at all. The next day, got up to do Australia. Now, this was a great stream because there were 4 of us involved in the stream. And whereas the previous day, all of those live streams I did, everybody was in the UK. The game of Australia that we did was with me in the UK, Matt all the way over in America, Andrea in Switzerland, and B in Belgium. So it was completely international. And it was great to play against, friends, Patreon supporters around the world in other countries. And yeah, it was good to play Australia again, but I was so rubbish at that game. And we lost the game. Cthulhu won. We absolutely got slaughtered, and it's probably my fault because I was playing really badly and I didn't defend my port enough. The reason why we chose Australia is a couple of people wanted to play it, but also I was really keen to play it again because I really enjoyed my first game. And it's been so long since I played it, whilst I was okay with the rules, kind of didn't play very well. And it's another one that I came away from that going, I need to play this again. like soon, before I forget all of this stuff. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm able to. Then we did Pulsar 2849. Now, I've gone on record to say that I'm a fan of Pulsar 2849. And whereas with Nippon, I said Nippon is a great game, and I probably shouldn't say that because I was professionally involved in it, because they commissioned me to help write the rulebook. Pulsar, I was one of the developers of the game. So for me to say, oh, I think it's a great game, I know how that comes across. But I do think Pulsar 2849 is a good game. And apologies if you think I'm just blowing my own trumpet here. You know, I was a small part of the development team on that game. I'm not claiming much credit for it, but it's a really good game. And yeah, that was a great game to sort of finish off the 7-game run of Virtual Lyricon. And looking back, that game was fantastic. Now, Graham played an absolute blinder. He didn't move at all. He didn't move his spaceship at all for the whole game, and he still managed to win. Pulsar 2849 is one of those games where the variable setup means that different strategies will work depending on the setup. And Graham got a very unusual strategy to work. Close in the end, but yeah, Graham pipped it. I say that was the last game of Virtual Lyricon. It wasn't. Because what I then did is I played through Forest of Doom, a solo game book. Which I think I'd actually done the week before and forgotten to mention. Yeah, I think I did. I think that was part 2. Yeah, that was it. I'd already done a live solo interactive playthrough video of me playing through the Forest of Doom, the old Fighting Fantasy adventure book from 1983. And I think that was the second part of it. Yeah, I think it was. And I think I died. I think that's when I got eaten by wolves. So yeah, the Fighting Fantasy game books, they are the reason why I got into gaming. 1983, I bought Warlock of Firetop Mountain, and that sparked what has become now, obviously, my life, my hobby, my work, everything else. So I have a lot of nostalgia for these old games, but I haven't played any of them. I haven't read them for like 35 years, and I went back into it thinking, oh, these are probably just going to be for kids, and the writing style is probably going to be a bit childish, and it totally wasn't. Totally wasn't. Now, the games are quite random. I mean, you know, you roll your character at the start, and I rolled a 7 for skill, so I was screwed right from the outset. I was never going to do well. Next time I play, I'm probably going to just take average stats, because at least then I've got a fighting chance of doing it. But that was really good, so thank you to everybody for joining in with that and making it interactive. 31st of March, we are almost at the end of March. I did Marvel Champions with Rado. Me and Richard Ham got together and we did a live play of the Marvel Champions card game, which we're both fans of. It's one of my favourite games from last year. Absolutely love it. Love Marvel, love card games, love cooperative card games. It's just brilliant. Richard's got so much energy. I've got a lot of time for Richard. Friends with him, and I've been a big supporter of his for years. And there's so many things which I can look at in my career now and say, well, that was down to Richard. So yeah, I've got a lot to be thankful of. I've got a lot to thank him for. He has affected my life and my the games that I play in more ways than he probably realises. Anyway, getting together with him and working with him on playing Marvel Champions was really good. Really enjoyed that. That's on the channel now if you want to see me and Richard working together playing Marvel Champions. We tried taking on Green Goblin Chapter 2. I won't tell you how it went. Not good. 3rd of April, I'd already planned, and this was booked in 2 months ago, that I was going to be doing a live playthrough video of a game called Sanctuary, The Keeper's Era from Tabula Games. It's a dueling wizards card game, summoning creatures, lanes, all of that kind of stuff, but with a few twists. And it's all been planned for a long time. Rick was coming over and we were going to play it live on camera. Of course, we're in lockdown, so how are we going to do this? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm still going to do it. And we did. I basically got the files, sent them to Rick beforehand. Rick printed out all of the cards himself, and we played the game remotely. So Rick was playing against me. He was telling me what cards he was playing. I was broadcasting out what people saw. And what we actually did that evening is we did, I think it was like a 3-hour live stream, because we did 3 games. Sanctuary the Keeper's Area is a game which comes with 6 pre-constructed decks. each deck plays in a very different way. So I spoke to Tabula that originally just wanted me to do like one playthrough video. And I said, look, I don't think one playthrough video is going to show off the game in the best light. It'll be okay, but people need to see all of the factions and how they play. So they said, okay, Paul, let's do it. It'll probably take about 30 to 40 minutes per game. It took us an hour per game because we were still learning it and we were explaining it. But they were all really good games, and we did make a rules mistake in game 1, which meant Rick actually won 3-0. The rules mistake we made in game 1 meant that I actually won, but I shouldn't have done. So yeah, that video is on the channel now. I think the Kickstarter is finished for that. I think it did really well. But yeah, we did 3 games using all 6 of the faction decks. So if you like your one-on-one mages dueling, then check that out, see what you think of that. Next up, Saturday, 4th of August, we had a Skype chat with Paul from HandyCon. It was just a catch-up because he's at home with his wife Vicky, who's heavily pregnant. We're at home and we thought, well, we're friends with him. Let's have a Skype call. So we had a Skype chat. We chatted, we caught up with things. It was a really nice chat. And then we played Just One. So that's why I'm mentioning it now, because we did a 4-player game of Just One over Skype, and it worked absolutely fine. It probably wasn't Skype, it was probably Messenger or something like that. But yeah, Just One, me and Vicky were playing it at our end with pieces of paper. They were playing it at their end. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, Just One is a game that you can play with your family or friends, just using any kind of video connection whatsoever. It worked really well. And we were just making random words. We didn't even use... Oh no, I think we did. Yeah, I think Paul's actually got a copy of the game and we did use actual real cards. But you could just make up any old word and it'd be fine. So yeah, Just One, really good. Next up, 5th, Sunday the 5th, Nemo's War. Is that the time-lapse video? Yeah, that's the time-lapse one. So I did the time-lapse video for Nemo's War on the 5th. And then it also did Cloudspire. So at this point, the 5th and the 6th, I thought, right, I quite like this time-lapse thing. And basically, I wanted to play more solo Cloudspire. I've been itching to play more solo Cloudspire because I absolutely love Cloudspire and I want to play more of it. And since I had the table set up downstairs for Nemo's War, I thought, let's get Cloudspire out, and I might as well do another time-lapse video. So over that, the 5th and the 6th, I actually, while sat down watching telly, I played 2 full games of solo Cloudspire, and this time, the next day when I came to spend a couple of hours editing all the footage together, I recorded an audio overlay. So those videos are on my channel now. Again, it's me playing through solo Cloudspire in about 20 minutes with audio commentary. Over the top, me explaining what went on. So if you're interested in a solo Cloudspire 20-minute video, they're both on the channel now. Do I want to play more solo Cloudspire? Yes. A little bit like Expedition to Newdale, I want to play all of them. I've got 20 scenarios, I've played 2. And I've not even touched on the cooperative scenarios yet. Next up, also on Sunday the 6th. Was it Sunday the 6th? We're now in April, by the way. I'm just going to check the calendar. April. No, April the 6th was a Monday. Okay, right. Where's my document gone? Here we go, Monday the 6th. Yes, that was it. So, Sunday was the 5th, Monday the 6th. I did a solo playthrough of the Ming Voyages. Now, those regular followers of mine will know that I already did a 2-player playthrough of the Ming Voyages and also the March of Progress. This was a Kickstarter, Surprise Stare Games. Alan Paul, David Mortimer designed the Ming Voyages. But the Ming Voyages has a solo mode. And I said to Alan, I'd really like to cover this on the channel as well. And it got added to the list. And eventually, on April 6th, I got round to playing it. So I did a solo playthrough of the Ming Voyages on the Monday afternoon. And that was a really good game. Thank you to everybody who joined in with that live on the chat. If you want to go and watch it, it's on the channel now. The solo mode is really good. It's very, very clever in the way that it works, because the Ming Voyages is one of those games where the Ming player has a hand of cards, plays one of them, and then gives the cards to their opponent. So in a 2-player game, you've got to be very careful about, well, I want to play that one, but I don't want them to have that one. And there are things you can do. In a game against an AI, you can be clever because you know the rules behind what the barbarian player is going to play. Therefore, you can say, okay, well, if I'm going to give him these cards, he's going to play that one. Therefore, I'm going to do that, and you can actually plan for it. So there's a lot of thinking involved about manipulating the current situation by choosing what cards you play and then what cards you give to the other player. So yeah, that video's on the channel now. Really good solo version of that game. Then what did we do? I did, on the 7th of April, I had a game of Cloudspire again. This time, I played using Tabletop Simulator. So, Tabletop Simulator, I haven't had Tabletop Simulator until recently. I remember trying to use a tool like that and Tabletopia some time ago and found them a little bit clunky. I found the interface very slow. You had to keep dragging, moving your window, moving your screen around, picking up an item, putting it over here, picking up another item, moving it over here. I found it very clunky and hard to use. So, and I haven't had the need to play games using Tabletop Simulator because I've always had enough people to come round and play games or solo games or whatever. However, Tabletop Simulator got mentioned a few times as this is a tool that people can use during the lockdown. So I thought, okay, maybe I should look at getting into this. And then Benjamin Mortensen on the Board Game Trading in Chat UK Facebook group contacted me and says, Paul, I've got a spare key. Here you go, as a sort of gift to you for all of the content that you're making. Here you go, have a Tabletop Simulator key. Because for some reason I didn't want to pay, it was on offer as well. It was like £5 for a key. But for some reason in my head I was thinking, why would I want to pay for something if I'm not really going to use it? And if it's, yeah. Thank you very much, Benjamin, because having Tabletop Simulator has transformed things for me. And I'll go on to this more a bit later on. But I played a game of Cloudspire on Tabletop Simulator against a guy called Mark, who was in America at the time, 8 hours behind me. And Mark taught me how to use Tabletop Simulator, how to use the mod for Cloudspire, and I found it a lot less fiddly. I mean, it was still a little fiddly, but there are certain things that you can do that in some respects make it easier to play on the digital version than the actual real version. A little bit, but it's still a little fiddly stacking the chips and you can't see exactly how many there are. But Mark is not only is Mark like an absolute rules expert at Cloudspire, and I'm going to mention this later on as well, but he knows how to play the game. I mean, knows, like, tactically, strategically, what to do. And I got absolutely hammered. And Mark apologised later. He said, well, I hope that wasn't too bad for you because, you know, kind of wasn't worth you even playing. And he's like, no, because Cloudspire is one of those games where you need to learn the faction. You need to understand how that faction works. And Mark did stuff. It was like, oh, I'm going to buy this unit, I'm going to put it there. And then I'm going to build this, and I'm going to put that there, and then I'm going to do this and I'm like, that's how you play the game. That, as I say, I know the rules of the game, but I don't understand how to use those rules to play well. And he absolutely did. And he was explaining it to me as he went, and it was fantastic. So thank you very much, Mark. He's known as the Centre Aisle on Discord, but yeah, really good. I didn't get to sleep till like 2 o'clock, but it was totally worth it. Then on the 8th of April, I did another game which I had agreed to do like 2 months before. So this is from Wolf Designer Studios, Guards of Atlantis 2, which is a game that they were going to send me a prototype of. This is the whole plan. This was all planned back in January and February. They were going to send me a prototype of this game. 3 people were going to come round, because this is just before BayCon, which another UK convention. That didn't happen. 3 people were going to come round. They were going to spend the whole day at my house. We were going to learn how to play this Guards of Atlantis 2. We were going to do a game. Then we were going to read through all of our cards. We were going to practice it. And then in the evening, I was going to do a live stream of the 4 of us playing the game together, having already played it. Okay? Now, what was happening? Yeah, Wolf Designer contacted me probably just as the lockdown was happening and said, Paul, we're ready to send you the prototype. We just need your address. And I'm like, hang on a minute. I can't have anybody around. There's no point you sending me a prototype of the game because nobody can come round to my house. This isn't going to work. I still really want to cover the game because it looked really interesting. And obviously it's paid work and I'm losing out on quite a bit of paid work at the moment. So I was like, look, I really want to do it for a number of reasons, but how are we going to make this work? At which point they proposed using Tabletopia, because they are actually doing a lot of their playtesting for the game at the moment on Tabletopia. And I said, okay, we can use Tabletopia. If you're happy for me to stream that out, then that might actually work better. Because with Tabletopia, I can digitally zoom in on a bit of the screen, I can move around, I can talk about things, I can show a card. I can't really do that in my studio. I'd have to zoom in with the camera and it's quite fiddly. And then I said, well, hang on a minute, I also need 3 other people. Am I going to have to find 3 of my friends who are going to have to also get on? And he said, well, hang on a minute, let's use some of the playtesters. Now, I'm a little bit nervous and uncomfortable about doing live streams with 3 random people who I don't know, I've never met, and it might be a bit weird. And the evening that we did it, brilliant. Thank you very much to Artie. The people that you chose to join in that live stream, I was really comfortable, possibly because I'd bigged myself up to be, oh, I was really nervous. This is people I don't know. And despite what people might think, I actually do have quite a lot of social anxiety, which I hide very well. So 3 people who I don't know, who are going to be on a live stream, on a commissioned live stream that I'm doing, which I'm hosting, I was very, very nervous. And it was fine. It was all fine. The 3 other players, it went really, really well. They were all really nice guys. They'd been playtesting the game for 18 months. They knew the game like the back of their hand. I'd played it in the afternoon just the once, but I think the video went really well. And I think it was the right decision to show that game off, because a little bit like Cloudspire, Guards of Atlantis 2 is an extremely tactical game where the small decisions can have a large impact. And if I'd have done a video of 4 of us playing that game either for the first or second time, I don't think that would have shown the game in as good a light as playing with 3 really good players who were able to actually show off how the game's supposed to be played. That video's on the channel now. Unlike a lot of the other things that I've mentioned in the last half hour, that game is not on Kickstarter yet. They wanted me to do the video a couple of weeks before the Kickstarter launch. So, Guards of Atlantis 2, keep an eye on it. It's going on Kickstarter at some point, I think next week. The video's already up there if you want to go and watch it now to see what it's like. But yeah, if you like it, that'll be going on Kickstarter. Fascinating game, really interesting, and yeah, go and check it out. Right. What did we then do? Undaunted. Yeah, so at this point, I'm now using Tabletop Simulator and I'm completely addicted. And I'm going, look at all these games. The Steam Workshop's got 31,000 games. And I'm looking down the list going, oh my God, I want to play that, want to play that, want to play that. And I found on there Undaunted Normandy. Now, I have a copy of Undaunted Normandy. It's there. I really like it. I don't play it enough. And I've been talking for the last 6 months with Paul Luxton and other people saying, I really want to play this again. I really want to play this again. But again, there's never enough time. But at 11 o'clock at night, when I can't sleep, Paul can't sleep, we're both on Tabletop Simulator. Shall we play Undaunted? Yeah. So I taught Paul how to play Undaunted using Tabletop Simulator, and we've since played it twice. And do I want to play it more? Yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing it more. Really good game, really enjoy it. There's a really good mod on Tabletop Simulator. It's probably unofficial, I'm pretty sure it is. But it's got scripted setups that just make the setup really easy, and it's all there. And it was really good to play it again, and I definitely want to play it more. So that is Undaunted. Then on the 9th of April, we're getting there, Marvel Champions again. This time with Mark Sarastro, the guy who does the figure painting videos. He's done loads of them. Mark's a super nice guy. I had him on my podcast when I used to do a podcast. I'm a patron supporter of Mark's. I watch his painting videos to try and get, learn tips and be a better painter. What a fantastic game that was. It was a really good game. It was really nice to play a game with Mark, to talk to Mark, and obviously Marvel Champions. I love it. So yeah, we did Green Goblin Chapter 1. That video's on the channel now if you want to see me and Mark playing through Marvel Champions. The 10th. So I played Teotihuacan. No, I played Lancaster first. Yeah, Lancaster. So my patron supporters have voted on Lancaster as one of the games that I will review this month. And I've not played Lancaster for about a year or so. Really liked Lancaster, but need to play it more in order to be able to do the review. So organised a game of Lancaster. Again, another one where I set up the physical components and we had people connecting to me via Skype, and they were telling me what to move around, and we moved them around. I think, was this the Friday night? Yeah, I think this was the Friday night. So yeah, we had a couple of special guests. We had Brian from Tabletop Polish, or Tabletop Polish, fellow rulebook editor, American guy, lives over in Poland. Got to know Brian over the last couple of years, super nice guy. Got him on, he joined us. And Chris Whitpan as well, who does a show in America, Every Night is Game Night, I think it's called. But yeah, Chris joined us as well, and Graham joined us, and yeah, we played through Lancaster. So yeah, Lancaster, really good game. The stream's on the channel now if you want to watch it. And then I was in a state of exhaustion after playing it, but I was buzzing because the game was really good. So we decided to play a quick game on Tabletop Simulator. And that quick game was me, Paul Luxton and David Ellis, and we decided to play Teotihuacan. 2.5 hours later, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, no wonder I'm not sleeping well. Yeah, so we played Teotihuacan on Tabletop Simulator, which, again, was fine. It was a little bit fiddly with moving things around, but, you know, it's a fiddly game with a lot that moves around. The implementation was quite good. I'm now completely addicted to Tabletop Simulator. On the 11th, Andy Pelton wanted to play Rallyman GT. Now, I had played Rallyman before, the previous version. All I remember about it was that I enjoyed it. That's all I remember about it. I remember it was quite cool and I enjoyed it. Rallyman GT is the new version of it, and Andy's been keen to try it, and it's on Tabletop Simulator, and I was like, yep, let's do that. And we played it in the afternoon, and it was really, really good to play a game with 4 friends on Tabletop Simulator in an afternoon. The game itself, I wasn't too keen on it. Now, the main difference from what little knowledge I've got is the original version was like a rally. It wasn't a race, it was a rally. You all set off at different times, and then it's whoever did it in the quickest time. What Rallyman GT is they've turned it into an actual race game. Now, the mechanics of the game, the mechanisms of the game were fine. But the downtime, oh man, the downtime was just... Now, it wasn't a problem for me because I was in the studio at home, obviously at home, everybody's at home. I was in the studio, this was going on, and in the 10 minutes or the 5 minutes while it wasn't my turn, I just started tidying up Lancaster from the night before or whatever. I was actually tidying stuff in the office. David was doing the washing up. The downtime in the game is massive, and that's a bit of a killer. I think the game only really works with a high player count, and the downtime is just painful. Other than that, as I say, mechanisms of the game quite good. Dice rolling, bit of risk reward, but I think there are better racing games. Flamme Rouge. On the 12th, another game. So we're on Tabletop Simulator again. On the 12th, I played Undaunted again against Paul, Scenario 2, which I had a very different impression about from the last time I played Scenario 2. But also, another game that I've been wanting to learn how to play for over 2 years now is Star Wars Imperial Assault. And Rick has actually bought a copy of it. I say recently, it was probably a long time ago. He's been painting through the minis, but again, same situation. Not enough time. Don't have enough time to play these games. Thankfully, somebody has put Star Wars Imperial Assault on Tabletop Simulator. So I was like, right, okay. I'm downstairs watching a bit of TV. I think we were watching some old Big Bang Theories. I'm going to learn it. So I actually played through the solo version of Imperial Assault using Tabletop Simulator with the iPad running the app as well, because it's an app controlled game, and I've learned how to play. If I had more time at the moment, I would totally be playing it, because love Star Wars. I liked the descent system, I just don't like the 1 versus many, and this is fully cooperative, and the new line of sight rules are like, why has nobody done this before? This just makes so much more sense. And yeah, I've only played through mission 1, loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, sure, it's dice rolling, but it captures that Star Wars feel for me, and it was really, really good, and I want to play more of it. So I just dabbled with Imperial Assault. On the 13th, we played a game. Oh, so this is another late night, can't sleep, want to go online and play a game. My Patreon supporters have access to a Slack channel, and on that Slack channel, we have an online gaming channel within the channel. and that is being used by everybody at the moment on it to basically organise a lot of online games, which is really good to see. There's a lot of games going on today that have been organised through the Slack channel. It's really, really nice to see the Gaming Rules Slack community building up. If you are a supporter of mine and you're not on the Slack channel, please get on the Slack channel, because as I say, it's a really nice community on there, and you can get involved in some of these online games that are going on, either live games using Tabletop Simulator or asynchronous. I'm drifting off topic. I'm going to talk about this later. Crown of Amara, really, really good game. Hadn't played it in a while. Tabletop Simulator app, Tabletop Simulator mod. So we played it. It was late one night. It was me, I think it was David Digby and Paul again. I managed to win, but yeah, really good game. Crown of Amara, I've done a review of it. I think I couldn't find a fault with the game. I think it's just a really, really solid, good game. We're almost getting there. The 15th, so this is another late night can't sleep, Aeon's End. We did Aeon's End Legacy. This was again on Tabletop Simulator. Somebody's done the mod. Me, Paul and Stefan in Switzerland, and we went through chapter 1 of Aeon's End Legacy. Now, Aeon's End Legacy is actually a campaign which I am going to be playing with Rick and Victoria at some point over the next few weeks, and I wanted to play chapter 1 just to get used to the interface so that I could then felt more comfortable in teaching somebody else. If you are going to play games on Tabletop Simulator, make sure you load them up first, make sure you have a play around with the mod to make sure you understand how it all works before doing it with other people there, because otherwise you can lose a lot of time in just, where's this bag gone? Oh, I've accidentally deleted something, you know, that kind of thing. Next up, we are so close to the end now, and then I'm going to take a short break because I need to get a drink. 16th. The 16th of April, in the evening, I did a game of Ride the Rails from Capstone Games. This was a sponsored playthrough. Again, this was booked in 2 months ago, that I would be doing some coverage of Ride the Rails, which is the second game in the Iron Rails series. However, because of the lockdown, I had to use the remote play tools, but it worked really well. And we actually had Clay from Capstone Games playing the game as a special guest from his warehouse in America. And that's what's cool about this remote playthroughs. We're having to do it because of the lockdown, but it's actually enabling us to do things that we wouldn't have done otherwise. Normally, that would have been my friends come round to my house and play a game there, all physically in person. There's no way we'd have been able to get Clay in to do that as well. I say there isn't. We totally could have done, but we're forced into doing it now because of the current situation. So it's actually going to be changing the way that I think I do things in future. Really good game. I've got 3 maps for it. I am going to be doing some more content for Ride the Rails. The first one was sponsored. Capstone Games did sponsor me to do that first video, but I want to do the other 2 maps as well, and I've got a line of players. I've got people lining up to want to play that game because, yeah, it was really good. So that's Ride the Rails from Capstone Games. Again, I was so happy after that stream I couldn't sleep. So we popped onto Tabletop Simulator and played Mini Rails, which is a fantastic game, and I did terribly. We're almost up to date. We are now at Friday afternoon. So Friday afternoon, I did a game of Cloudspire again. Now this one was a little different than the previous one. First of all, it was with Ricky Royal, Box of Delights. Ricky's a super guy. I've known Ricky for years through Mage Knight, and I've worked with him professionally on a couple of projects. He helped me out with the development of the Mage Knight expansions. There's a lot of games that we have in common, and we've only met a few times, but we've never played a game together. And on Friday afternoon, just gone, I got to play one of my favourite games of all time, Cloudspire, against one of the nicest people who I've met, Ricky Royal, and it was just brilliant. Really, really good game. That's on the channel now if you want to see me and Ricky playing Cloudspire. And the reason why I'm saying it was good for a different reason is Cloudspire is on Kickstarter right now. It's coming back on Kickstarter. You can get the game. There's some new expansion content, and Ricky was playing one of the new expansions. He was playing with Horizon's Wrath, which is a pirate-like faction, and Ricky was playing that, and it was just a fantastic game, and I really enjoyed it. And then in the evening, so this is Friday evening, I did a live stream of Brass Lancashire. Now, Brass is a game which is over there, but I've never actually played the physical board game. We played it on Tabletop Simulator on Friday night. The implementation was really good. The money was a bit fiddly, but yeah, it was a good game of Brass Lancashire. I did a very unusual strategy, and it did really well. So that is it. That is all of the games that I have played over the last 6 weeks, which is a lot more than normal. But as I say, using Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia, remote tools, I'm still able to produce a lot more content than I've done normally, but I'm also playing a lot more games than I normally do. Right, I'm going to take a short break now, get a drink of water, and then I'll be back with the rest of it. See you in a minute. Right, and we're back. I've just checked how long it's been. So yeah, I hope you're sitting comfortably because we've got a lot more stuff to talk about. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is the Patreon campaign. Now, this is really, really odd because I was expecting the support for my Patreon campaign, because of the current situation, to go down. And I was absolutely fine with that. And I want to say to everybody who is a current Patreon supporter of mine, if you're having any financial difficulties whatsoever right now, just stop your support. No problem with that whatsoever. I was fully expecting it. I was fully prepared for it. And if you need to do that, or you need to drop it down or put it on hold, whatever you need to do, that's absolutely fine. What I was not expecting was for the Patreon support to go up. And it has. Okay, the Patreon support in the last 6 weeks has actually gone up at a higher rate than it has most other months. And I find that a little unusual. But then again, we refer back to what I mentioned earlier on. 6.5 million for Frosthaven on Kickstarter. So a lot of the world right now is struggling. And, you know, obviously my thoughts go out to them, the people who are putting themselves on the front line, the nurses, the people in the shops, the people who are keeping the country going. You know, I'm not one of those people. I'm not putting myself at risk out there at all. I am sat at home producing board game content for people to watch. One of the things that I have done since the lockdown started is I've been producing a lot more content. A lot more content. And the way that things work, and I've probably mentioned this before, the money that I make from the Patreon campaign effectively gives me enough time off my paid work. It pays for probably about a week and a half off work a month. So in a month's work, the Patreon funding allows me to take a week and a half off the paid work to produce content for free. So obviously I've got the sponsored content and the rulebook writing and everything else, but then the Patreon pays for the other stuff. In the last 6 weeks, I have actually been spending between 75 and 80% of my time producing free content. And I've actually been, you know, I've been turning down some of the paid work in order to produce the free content. Financially, that's the wrong decision. I've been doing it for a few reasons. The first one is I like live streaming and I like producing content for people, but as soon as I started stepping up the amount of content that I was producing, and producing other types of content as well that I'm going to mention in a minute, I had a number of people contact me privately and say, Paul, I know you're putting out a lot more content than you normally do, and right now I really appreciate it because they're stuck at home. Obviously, everybody's dealing with the current situation in their own way. And a few people reached out to me to say thank you for what you're doing because it's keeping me occupied, taking my mind off things, something. And that was like, right, I'm helping people. And I want to help people if I can. So that kind of got into a loop. And then it was actually quite bad about 4 weeks ago. About 4 weeks ago, I had paid work that I should have been doing. And I couldn't do it. I'd lost my mojo, completely lost it. I tried to sit down, I tried to do it, I couldn't concentrate. Did a live stream instead. That's all I could do. I got myself into a rut where I was completely obsessed with online streaming. I kind of joked about it and called it, I've got Cowles disease, completely obsessed with online streaming, or with live streaming. And it was a real thing. All I wanted to do was just live stream me playing games constantly. And when I stopped doing that and I went downstairs, I was like, oh, what can I do next? What game can I play next? What can I do next? And I found it really, really difficult. So for about 2 weeks, the money that I was bringing in for my paid work went to almost zero because I wasn't able to do any. Thankfully, I've managed to snap myself out of that, which is why I said working all 4 days of last bank holiday was my fault, is because I had to catch up from the work that I should have been doing, which I wasn't able to do. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I've been putting out all of this content, so much more than I have normally, not to try and boost my Patreon and not to try and get more supporters. That's not why I've been doing it. Whether it's done that or not, fine, okay, but that wasn't my intention. My intention was, right, this is what I can do. As I say, I'm not on the front line. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not working in a care home. I'm not doing any of that stuff. All I can do to try and help is what I do, and that's produce board game content. So that's kind of why I've been doing it. And I'm going to be doing it. And I'm going to be doing it for the next few weeks as well, or maybe even the next 2 months. I don't know. I have no plans to carry on. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get not my work-life balance back, my work-work balance back. I need to do the paid work, because the paid work is paying, you know, the bills, and it's paying for the food and everything else. And also I've got clients chasing me for rulebook work. Thankfully, I'm mostly up to date now, but I have that work to do, but I need to balance that against all of the content that I want to make. There we go. Right. Okay. Let's have a talk about the changes. So I'm going to put on screen now the changes. I always like to say a personal thank you to all of my new supporters. And these are the new supporters in the month of March. So if you are a supporter of mine and you've just started supporting me and your name is not on this list, your name will be on the next list, right? This is a list of all of the people who have started supporting me in March. Because remember, this video log should have been done at the start of April and it's late. So first of all, some new executive producers. Thank you very much to you. Then some producers. Again, thank you very much to you. And also some people supporting at lower levels. I sometimes read through the names on a list. Unfortunately, I did the list yesterday. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm just going to put them on screen. And yeah, there you go. Thank you very much to everybody for supporting me in March. And again, there are people who've been supporting me since the end of March who will get mentioned in the next video. So every month I do a giveaway. Last month's giveaway was for... I've still not put that one away. I did this last month, didn't I? These two games, okay? So I did these are games which I got sent last year to do reviews of. I've played them, I did talk about them, but I'm not able to, I don't have room to keep all of the games. And these were the ones that didn't make the cut. They're both good games, they're just not ones which I was planning to keep. So I did the draw, and the winner was Ryan Burr over in America. I contacted Ryan, and Ryan said, "Thank you very much, Paul, but it's okay. I'm happy that you passed them on to somebody else." So thank you very much, Ryan, for that. Very, very generous. I will be giving something back to Ryan the next time I see him, whenever that will be, because we don't even know if Gen Con's happening at this point. But I'm going to do another draw again for these. So these games are going to be given away. Just not sure yet who they're going to. Now let's talk about the contest for this month. And in the past, some of my monthly contests have been quite big. I remember last year I did a monthly giveaway which was Oathsworn. You know, a full pledge of Oathsworn, which was valued at like $100 or something like that. Madeira Collector's Edition is another big giveaway that I've done in the past. I've done quite a few big giveaways in the past. But nothing has beaten this one, and I don't think anything will in future, okay? It probably comes as no surprise to people that this month's giveaway is a copy of Frosthaven, okay? But, and this is probably due to the fact that the Kickstarter campaign is going extremely well, but I spoke to Isaac and Price last week, mainly Price to be fair, and I said, can I just check, because I'm about to do the video log and I want to say to people what they can win, can I just check what it is exactly that you want me to give away? And they said, yeah, a full package. And I'm like, okay, what do you mean by a full package? He went, well, go on the website, yeah, it's the one valued at $240. Okay, so there you go. That's what you can win this month. The full all-in pledge for Frosthaven. It's on the Frosthaven Kickstarter campaign right now. It's the one valued at $240. Thank you very much to Cephalofair Games for supporting me in this. It's a massive giveaway. What do you need to do if you are a patron supporter at producer level and above? Nothing. You get automatically entered into the contest. You don't need to do anything. You will be automatically entered. If you are not a Patreon supporter, but you enjoy the content that I make and you want to be in with the chance, maybe now is the time to start supporting me. I don't know. It's up to you. I don't want to be going out there right now and saying to people, oh, support me, support me. I don't want to do that. But I'm just saying, every month I do a contest. If you like the content that I make and you want to support me on Patreon and you are in a position to do so, then feel free to do so. Because right now, that Patreon money for me is obviously very, very useful for me at the moment. But anyway, yeah, so that's the giveaway for this month. It's pretty big, Frosthaven. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Ah, yes. Yeah, you need to be a Patreon supporter on the last day of the month. So don't wait till the 1st of May and then join, because it'll be too late. It's basically, Patreon takes its money at the very start of the first day of the month. So it's at that point where the cutoff is. So other things that are happening regards with the Patreon campaign, and this is something that I've been mulling over for about 6 months, and I've never really announced it. But I feel it's time, because I've been putting off saying something for a while, and I feel it is the time to say something. And this is about YouTube advertising. Now, I don't like YouTube advertising. I just don't like it. I don't like any adverts. We don't watch anything on live TV anymore. Whenever we record anything, we skip past the adverts. I just don't like advertising. And I remember 6 years ago when I started my channel and I had a discussion with a few people and I said, what do you think about YouTube advertising? And they went, hate it. Absolutely hate it. And I'm like, yeah, I feel the same about that. Also, and I've said this before, I don't feel that it is right for a content creator like me to do a video that was sponsored or commissioned or whatever and then turn advertising on. That doesn't sit comfortably with me. Okay, if a publisher has paid me to make a video and I then turn advertising on that video, YouTube advertising as another revenue stream, that doesn't feel right. Now, I know I'm in the minority on that because I know plenty of other content creators do exactly that. I'm not criticising them, I'm just saying it doesn't sit comfortably with me. But I've also heard that the YouTube algorithm favours the ones with adverts on. And I've like, right, well, how can I do this? You know, not having advertising on is potentially hurting the organic growth of my videos, but turning advertising on is something that I feel is wrong. And also, I don't want people watching my videos to have to put up with a 5-second advert at the start. So I've worked out how I'm going to do it, and I want your feedback to let me know what you think about this. I am going to turn advertising on, okay? But until further notice, every bit of money that I make from that advertising is going to get donated to a charity. And at the moment, I'm going to be choosing the charity that's going to be doing work for COVID-19, okay? Obviously, I'm not going to keep the same charity forever, but that's what I'm going to do. So the downside is you'll go to my videos and you're going to get a 5-second skippable ad at the start, right? You're going to get that. But it fixes the problem. Suddenly, all that uncomfortableness that I feel about, oh, well, I shouldn't be making extra money when a publisher has paid for it. I'm not making any extra money from it. All of the money is going for charity, and all of a sudden, money's going for charity. I like to do things for charity. I like to raise a lot of money for charity. So all of a sudden, I've turned a bad situation, I think, into a good one. But I need your feedback. I'm going to be turning advertising on from this moment forward. Not on this video, but it's going to be on the next video, and I want to know what you think about it. If you think, Paul, yes, that's a great idea, keep doing it, or say, Paul, no, we don't want you to turn advertising on. And I'm not asking you, if you say, no, I don't want advertising, that's not me saying, oh, well, you don't want to give any money to charity. It's not that. I actually want to know what you think about it. I don't want you to go to my video and go, oh, it's an advert. I'm not going to watch it because there's an advert. Certainly for me, when I go to YouTube videos and I see an advert, I'm like, oh. And sometimes I just close the window because I've got this thing in my head that I don't like advertising that much. I just close it and then I don't watch it. I'm probably in the minority on this, but please let me know what you think. I don't actually know how we're going to work this out because I don't know how the payment works through YouTube. I've never really done it before, but that's what I'm going to try and do. So just to be clear, I'm going to turn advertising on. Every penny I make from it, however little or however much that's going to be right now, is going to be donated to some kind of COVID-19 charity or for nurses or something. I don't know how I'm going to give it or where I'm going to give it, but I'm going to do that. So yeah, let me know what you think about this. Also, I'm going to be doing another giveaway. And the other giveaway is not a Patreon related giveaway. It's available for everybody. And the giveaway starts now, okay? So in the show notes of this video, and I'm actually going to put it up on screen right now, there is a link to a Google form. And I am giving away 4 Steam keys for Tabletop Simulator. So I'm going to go and buy 4 keys for Tabletop Simulator like this afternoon. And I'm going to give them away to people. And what you need to do is you need to go to the Google form and there will be a series of questions. Fill in the answers to the questions. And on Wednesday lunchtime, I'm going to go through all of the answers. I'm going to basically, for every answer that you get correctly, you get an entry into the hat. And then I'm going to do a random draw. That's going to take me ages to work out the admin side of that thing, but that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, so Google form. Now, I'm be honest with you now. Some of the answers are in videos that I have done. So yes, you're going to have to go and watch some of my videos to get some of the answers, but not all of them. Okay, so there's 10 questions, and the answers to the answers I think to 5 of them are in videos that I have done recently-ish. So that's what I'm going to do. Contest starts right now. 4 Steam keys to give away for Tabletop Simulator. And yeah, go and enter the contest and yeah, see how you get on. I say it's not Patreon related, but if you are a Patreon supporter, that's one of the questions. You'll basically get a free entry in there extra if you are a Patreon supporter. Right, content. As I mentioned at the start, when I've been going through all the games that I've been playing, I've been doing a huge amount of content recently, but that's not all. All of those games that I played, that I live streamed, that's not everything. I did a how to play video for Tranquility. Now, I don't do as many how to play videos as I used to because my business has changed, everything, the way that I work has changed. I still do them, but I don't do as many as I have done in the past. And I did a how to play video of Tranquility. Tranquility is a small cooperative card game. And I'd agreed to do a how to play video on it ages ago. I believe it's being delivered to backers. That might be held up because of the virus, but it's going out there. And I'm trying to actually get together with Peter to do some live playthroughs of it using some kind of online tool as well. But yeah, if you want to learn how to play Tranquility, that video is on my channel. I also did a live Q&A with Isaac Childress prior to the Frosthaven launch, where we talked in general about the game, and we also did we did a bit of a look at the 6 new basic character classes in the game. So that's on the channel if you want to see that. I also did a live Q&A with Uli Blenman from Spielworks. Not for any reason other than Uli's a nice guy and I like talking to him. And I did the live Q&A with Isaac for Frosthaven and then thought, oh, this worked quite well. Because this is in the period where I'd lost my mojo and I wasn't able to do any real paid work. So I thought I'll interview Uli. And we talked about what he's got planned for the next year. So that was really cool. Uli's a nice guy. I've mentioned the Forest of Doom videos. My live Q&A, I do a live Q&A every month. And the one I did last month, at the end of March, I actually got Tony Boydell on as a special guest. Again, I want your feedback on this. Do you want my next live Q&A to be just me? Or do you want me to bring in a special guest halfway through and kind of mix it up a bit? I'm not sure. Other things that I've done, I did a review of Crystal Palace. That's on the channel now. And I've also been covering some digital games. So I've covered a lot of digital Gloomhaven. Basically, we are streaming twice a week, or supposed to be twice a week. We're doing digital Gloomhaven. So this is Gloomhaven using the digital version, and we're playing multiplayer. And the reason how we're playing multiplayer is that I'm sharing my screen over Skype. John and Paul are the other 2 characters in the party. They are picking their cards themselves secretly. And we're basically recreating the board game experience. And it's brilliant. It's working really, really well. You can do the same thing. You don't have to broadcast it. You don't have to stream it. Just use Skype. And once you've got a Skype call going, you share screen and you can totally do it. Yeah, Gloomhaven, the digital version, really good. Really enjoying it. Aiming for twice a week. Just got to fit it in around everything else. Charterstone. I got a key for the Charterstone digital version. Now, Charterstone is a game which I'd kind of dismissed as a board game because I'd heard various things about it that made me not want to try it. But the digital version was really good. Now, I've done 5 parts of the video, I think, maybe 6. And there was a few bugs. The game, to be fair, should have been released as early access rather than a full release because there's been loads of bugs with it. I'm happy to say most of those bugs are now fixed and the game is playable again, and I need to go back to it and continue from where I left off. But I've been playing through the Charterstone digital version. There's loads, there's 5 videos on my channel now if you want to see that. Sorcery Digital. So Sorcery is one of the adventure game book series by Steve Jackson, and Inkle Studios did a digital adaptation of that game, and I've played through a bit of part 1. I want to do more, just haven't had the time, so that's on the channel. And I also did some coverage of Labyrinth War on Terror, which I was very, very keen to try, and I thought I might like it more than Twilight Struggle. Oh, it was hard work. I mean, it's a heavy, complex game, and I did a first look video. So I loaded the app up, and I basically went through the tutorial, and I was pretty much completely befuddled most of the way through. I started to get a hang of it by the end, but it's a heavy, complex game. I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to it because a number of people said that it's a bit more random than Twilight Struggle. And I thought, okay, maybe I should go back to Twilight Struggle. So I've been in contact with Playdeck. They have sent me a key for Twilight Struggle. I'm going to be covering that on the channel. And I might not go to I might not go back to Labyrinth until I've got my head round Twilight Struggle. It is very different, but I didn't have the brain capacity to be able to learn it as well as I wanted to. Projects that I've been working on over the last 6 weeks. I've been working on the rulebook for Clash of Cultures, when I got my mojo back, the new Monumental edition from WizKids, and it really reminded me how good Clash of Cultures was. I've played it a whole bunch of times, and it is a fantastic game system, and the Monumental edition looks even better, because they've tweaked a few things, they're putting it all together. I can't really explain it, because I'm working on the rulebook. I don't have an official NDA, but it's kind of an unofficial. I can't start going here and announcing what's different in the game if the publisher hasn't actually announced it themselves. But I'm working on that. That is almost wrapped up. I need to finish that this afternoon or tomorrow. Dead Reckoning rulebook, John D. Clare's new card crafting game from AEG. That rulebook is almost done. The Kanban rulebook, we're just in the final stages now, just dotting the I's, crossing the T's. David from my team has been working hard on the Kingdom Rush rulebook, or scenario books for that, so that's almost done. Phil from my team has been working on Oathsworn. There's a lot of work to do on Oathsworn still because that's massive. So all of the card text needs checking, all of the scenario text, massive amount of work. But we're getting through that slowly but surely. Fantastic quests from Matthew Tibbury. Matthew designs games that are aimed at a younger audience that can be used as educational tools. He did City of Zombies. So we've been working with him on the rulebook for Fantastic Quests. And I've been working with Jordan Draper, doing a bit of work on the rulebook for Import-Export and another of his games as well. So that's the professional work that I've been doing. Plans for the future. Okay, now the bad news. It's bad news and it's good news. For those people who think, Paul, you need to take some time off. Take a step back, take a day off. Go and sit outside in the sun. Stop pushing yourself. You'll be happy with what I'm going to announce next. And that is the reviews that I should be doing this month, which you voted on, which is Lancaster and Nemo's War. I'm not going to do this month, okay? I'm actually going to take a month off from reviewing. I mean, I'm not taking a month off, right? But I'm not going to do those reviews this month, and I'm going to do those reviews next month. So next month, there will not be a poll on what games you want me to review, because I'm going to do Lancaster and Nemo's War next month. I know my Patreon campaign says that I will do 2 reviews a month, and if you have a problem with that and you say, Paul, you didn't do 2 reviews this month and that's what you're supposed to do, I'm absolutely fine if you want to drop your support for a month or whatever. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I hope that all of the extra content that I'm producing, which is 4-5 times what I what the Patreon campaign should be producing makes up for it. Okay, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. But at the moment, I'm actually faced with this mountain of stuff that I should be doing, and fitting in enough games of Lancaster for me to do a review of it, and enough games of Nemo's War for me to do a review of it before the end of this month. Just, it's not going to happen. And I've had this discussion with Vicky a couple of times. As a reviewer, I want to do enough plays of a game. I don't just want to play it once and then review it. I don't even want to just play it twice. I want to play it 3, 4, 5 times. And Nemo's War, there's a multiplayer option. There's 4 different scenarios, effectively, right? I can't just play it twice and then do a review of it. I have played it twice. I don't feel that I've got enough information to give you a proper review of it. So by delaying them to next month, it means that I can able to play Lancaster at least another couple of times, because I need to play it 2-player. And I'm going to play Nemo's War at least 2 more times, possibly even 3. And then I will have done 5 games of it before doing the review. So that's the bad news, is that I'm not going to do the reviews that I said I would do this month. I'm going to do them next month, and there isn't going to be a poll next month for what games I'm going to review. I hope that's okay. If it's not, as I say, apologies. Let me know if it's a problem. Solo gaming wise, I am still going to do the solo game of Nussfjord. That will probably be week after next, and I know that I still owe you a solo game of On Mars. I'm still in discussion with Vital Lacerda about when a good time for that is, but coordinating that has been quite tricky. So that's happening soon. There's lots and lots of other stuff planned, but at the moment, and those of you who've been following me for a few months will know that I kind of do my weekly plans on a Monday. I spend about an hour and a half creating this nice image for here's everything that I'm doing this week. I've stopped doing them now, and I've stopped doing them for 2 reasons. First of all, it was taking me an hour and a half to 2 hours just to make the image. And that's time. That's a lot of time that I was spending doing it. But the other reason is my rota, my schedule at the moment is so up in the air. It's so fluid. And last week was just insane. Everything was moving around. Every day I'd get up and there'd be an hour spent rearranging. Oh, well, that's going to be moved to here. This is moving to here. Oh, this person's not free. I'm having to reschedule that. This will be moved from Wednesday to Thursday. It was crazy. So this is why at the moment, because the situation is so fluid, I don't really want to advertise what I'm doing on the Monday, because it's going to change. What I can tell you is what's happening next week, and that's the only, and this again might change, but next week I am supposed to be doing something on Tuesday morning, which is a new CGE game. I can't say too much about it now, but Tuesday morning, live on my channel, some information about a new CGE game that's coming this year. That's going out. Tuesday afternoon, I'm doing a live Q&A with Josh from Chip Theory Games, talking about Cloudspire. That's happening, 4 o'clock, Tuesday afternoon, UK time, talking about Cloudspire with Josh. Nemo's War, Wednesday, 2 PM, UK time. I'm doing a 3-player game of it. Nemo's War I always thought was a solo game, and now all of a sudden I found in the rulebook there's ways you can play it multiplayer. A couple of people have told me, don't bother, it doesn't work, it's rubbish. Well, if I'm going to be doing a review of the game, and it has a multiplayer mode, I need to play it. So, Wednesday, 2 PM UK time, Nemo's War, 3-player, me, Tom Heath from Slicker Drips, and another Tom who organises the Nemo's War Facebook group. The 3 of us are going to be playing it over Skype, broadcasting it out. More Gloomhaven Digital at some point when I can fit it in. Kalawala should be Thursday. It's me playing against Mark Streed from the Dice Tower. This is an interesting game, okay? This is a prototype. It's on Kickstarter right now. Kalawala, Tale of Sampos. It's got a massive screen. It's a hidden movement game with this massive metal screen between the 2 players. And I'm going to be playing it remotely against somebody in America, against Mark from the Dice Tower. So that's going to be Thursday afternoon, 2 o'clock. Not 100% confirmed yet, but should be happening. Friday evening, something that I'm very excited about. And this is, I am going to learn how to play Too Many Bones. Now, Too Many Bones Undertow, which was up there, is now in the other room. I have had for about 18 months, and I have tried to play it 3 times, and every time I've put it away because the rulebook, I hope Chip Theory Games don't mind me saying this, the rulebook's awful. The rulebook for Too Many Bones, I've tried 3 times to play that game from the rulebook and failed every time. Luckily for me, I have some friends and Patreon supporters who have been offering to teach me how to play that game for over a year, and there's never got round to it. This Friday, doing it. Friday night, 7 o'clock UK time, David Ellis and me, with my copy of Undertow. David's going to teach me how to play, and we're going to play it. So you can watch me being taught a game live on camera. David's a bit nervous, I'm sure he'll be fine, but this is another cool thing that I've never done before. Is normally people tune in to watch me teaching a game. This time somebody's going to be teaching me a game. So that's going to happen Thursday. Too Many Bones is a game which I am 99% sure I am going to love. But I just couldn't get past the rulebook. And this Friday, this is why I'm excited about it. This Friday, that's all going to change. Next week, I'm going to be doing a live Q&A with Mark Gerritz. I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry, Mark, if I got it wrong. Designer of Mini Rails and Mini Express, because next week I'm going to be doing a live playthrough of Mini Express. I've got the prototype, and I think it's going to be me. It's going to be Stella from Meeple University. I think it's going to be Mark himself as well, and then I think a couple of my friends and Patreon supporters are going to join in. So that's Mini Express. That's April 29th. I've also got a prototype of a card game based on the Phantom, the superhero. I need to be doing that. That I think is either next week or the week after. Then I've got this, which arrived. Oh God, this is the heaviest game ever. Okay, Euthea, more punch boards than Gloomhaven. Yes, if you didn't think that was possible, there are more punch boards in this than Gloomhaven. That is massively heavy. I agreed 3 months ago to do a playthrough video of this game. I don't yet know how I'm going to make that happen with the lockdown, but I need to work that out. I've been sent the rulebook. That's coming to the channel in a few weeks' time. And also I've been sent the new version of Maharaja from Cranio Creations. Again, prototype. Again, don't know how I'm going to do it with the lockdown, but I'll work it out somehow. There's so much planned for the next month or two. Pathfinder Adventure card game. I'm going to be playing it with Pep McDonald, the guy who used to be on Rodney Smith's channel. I want to play a game of that with him. I want to play a game of Red Alert Space Fleet Warfare with Alan Paul. I want that to go out on the channel. There's so, and as I'm looking through the list on Tabletop Simulator, there's like, I want to play Vindication again. I want to play that again. I want to play that again. If I was in a financial position right now, I would just stop all of my paid work and just be live streaming constantly all day. I'm not able to do that at the moment. I am, however, cutting down on the paid work to produce more content. But right now, yeah, I will admit, I am completely addicted to playing games and live streaming them. That's where we are. Sue me. What else am I going to talk about? I think that's pretty much it. This has been the longest video log ever. I'm absolutely exhausted, and I've got a live stream of me playing Spirit Island, the digital app, this afternoon. So if you're interested in that, go and watch it. Because you're not going to see this video until after I've done that, because it's going to take me 3 hours to edit this together. Quick bit personal update, news, TV stuff that we've been watching. We've recently caught up with Walking Dead. So we are now completely up to date with all of the Walking Deads that have been broadcast. What's really odd is that they didn't manage to get the editing of the last episode of season 10 done before the lockdown hit. So we've seen up to episode 15, and the last episode is going to be at some point in a few months' time. We've also watched The Watchmen TV series. Fantastic. Really, really enjoyed it. Very, very good. Thoroughly recommend it. I'm a massive fan of Watchmen anyway, and the TV series was very good. We've been catching up on a load of Big Bang Theories because we were a few years behind. So I think we're currently watching season 10. So we've still got a few more of them to go. Angel Has Fallen, a lot better than expected. Third one in the series, was really good. Terminator Dark Fate, it was all right. And Alita Battle Angel, which was okay. Odd ending. And there's probably a few more as well, but it's been 6 weeks. We've watched a lot in 6 weeks, but they're the ones I can think of. Oh, and we started watching Red Dwarf Series 10 last night as well, which was really good. I know Red Dwarf went off the boil a bit around seasons 6, 7, 8, whatever, but, you know, and there's been 10, 11 and 12 that have been paid for, I think, by Dave. We started watching season 10 last night, and that was really good. Anyway, I'm I'm exhausted. This has been a long vlog. I hope that is everything. Have I mentioned the giveaway? Yeah, have I mentioned that? Did I mention that? Oh, GridCon. GridCon is my own convention that I organise twice a year. GridCon 2 is due to happen at the end of June. We haven't made an official decision yet. We're taking it week by week. We're seeing what happens. We know we need to make a decision at some point soon, but we had a discussion with the hotel on Friday, and the hotel is due to reopen in the middle of June, and they very much want our business. So we're going to see how it goes. I will have more information in a couple of weeks' time when we see what happens. We see what the situation is in the UK. I don't know any more than that yet. I know a lot of other conventions are being cancelled. We don't want to cancel it if we don't have to, but also I don't want to not cancel it and then people not turn up because it's too dangerous. So watch this space. We'll see how we get on if you were planning to come to GridCon. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. Yeah, apologies this has been late, and apologies obviously that it's been long, but there's so much stuff to cover. As I say, I want your feedback on a few things. You know, first of all, are you enjoying the content? Are you okay with the advertising? Do you think the idea of giving the money to charity is a good one? Let me know which charity I should be giving it to, because I'm not really sure how that's going to work yet. And good luck to everybody for joining in for the contest for winning Frosthaven next month. I'm going to disappear now and get ready for the Spirit Island later on. So until next time, take care everybody, and thanks for watching. Gaming Rules is proudly sponsored by Game Toppers, upgrading your gaming experience. Visit GameToppersLLC.com.